Today, we'll be talking about the effects of militarization on society based on anthropological and sociological perspectives. When we hear the word militarization, we often think of war, soldiers, but according to anthropologists, militarization is more than just a war. It's a process where military values, institutions, and ways of thinking slowly spread into society. In short, hindi lang ito tungkol sa giyera, kundi tungkol sa pagiging militarized ng mismong lipunan, how we think, act, and organize our world. Let's start with the social effects. Militarization affects how people think and behave, and it promotes military values like obedience, discipline, nationalism, and aggression. Because of this, violence becomes normalized. Parang nagiging normal lang ang giyera, away at paggamit ng dahas. People begin to see war as something necessary to protect the nation. Militarization also encourages racism and discrimination. Historically, wars and colonization were justified by racial superiority, the idea that one race is more powerful or more civilized than others. Itong dahilan kung bakit maraming conflicts noon ay may halong racial o colonial motivations. Another social impact is that resources and attention move away from social welfare, like education and healthcare, because the government prioritizes military needs. Even culture and media are affected. Movies, advertisement, and news often glorify soldiers and wars, making people admire violence as heroism. So let's move on to political effects. Political effects. Militarization often strengthens state power and control. Governments use surveillance, censorship, and militarized policing to maintain order. This sometimes lead to authoritarianism, where leaders rely heavily on the military to stay in power and suppress dissent. Anthropologists also mention Charles Taylor's idea of the state as protection racket. He said that many states act like syndicates. They create or exaggerate threats and then use those threats to justify more military expansion. Parang sinasabi nila, you need us to protect you, kahit minsan sila rin ang gumagawa ng takot. We also see the rise of client states, weaker nations that depend on stronger countries for military aid and protection. This creates an unequal global system where powerful nations control smaller ones through military relationship. In powerful countries like the US, there is also what we call the military-industrial complex, a network of corporations and political leaders who benefit from war. These companies produce weapons, influence policies, and even shape public opinion through media and advertising.
Economic effects. Militarization also has major economic effects. Government spend billions on weapons, defense, and research. This boosts the economy for a while but reduces funding for public services. The arms industry become a big business, war itself become profitable. Scholars even say that militarization helps resolve economic crisis by forcing more production. The government buys weapons, uses them, destroys them, and buy more, creating a constant cycle of spending. However, this system also causes inequality and environmental harm. Military production and global operations release massive amounts of carbon emissions, contributing to climate change. Mas malaki ang impact nito sa mga bansang industrialized at may malalaking military forces. In neoliberal economies, as social support decreases, militarization is used to control unrest. Imbis na ayusin ang problema sa kahirapan, pinapatahimik lang ang mga tao gamit ang pwersa. Historical and global context. After World War II, militarization became global. countries began investing more in defense industries, research, and technology. For example, Japan focused on peaceful technologies like climate modeling, while the US prioritized weapons development, showing how militarization directs national priorities. Newly independent or weaker countries also became clients of powerful nations, relying on them for military aid. This made militarization not only a national issue but a global system tied to capitalism, colonialism, and power.